Ah, it's a cold one today. It is quite chilly. The car says 2 above 0. So I can turn that one down for a minute until the girls come in. I don't know. We like to get the whole ride warm. And I guess my starting rap would be like what do people harmonize with? Like how do you harmonize yourself? Uh, Cat hair on the damn cashmere. But what do you harmonize yourself with? And being in harmony doesn't necessarily mean grounded. It's something grounded is something else. But like what in your life, like if you have a mate, do you harmonize together? Just when you sit and talk and when you lay next to each other, do you feel a constant flow that goes back between both of you? And you can have that like when you work with somebody, when you go to work. I've embraced to work with this one brother, Mexican brother, and every day we worked, it didn't even seem like work because we would just bullshit and harmonize together. You know, the flow of energy just went around all day, and so you can have that in a lot of different situations. Hey Jeff, what is it? Well, I'm in line to pick up my daughter, so that's what it is. You know, the brothers get such a bad we get such a bad rap that we don't take care of our children and we're missing out of our children's lives. Well, even though I'm 60 years old, I'm in line to pick up my daughter from elementary school, and then we're about to go to practice. So this is the kind of thing that I think is positive. So, but as I was saying, I mean, how do you harmonize yourself? And because once you feel that you're harmonizing, it's like everybody and everything you do, the energy flows. The energy flows, and that's really how you want it. You want the energy to flow in your favor. You know, as you move through. Hey, Lorenzo. Yeah, you know it's funny. Last night I thought about going live, but I was like, I don't know. I got to watching some cartoons and shit. Anime, I guess is what it's called. But thanks for joining me. But that's the thing is you have to go through your life and you have to find a way to harmonize with the all. Like they try to copy the yin and yang and say that it's yin and yang, but really it's Hanukkah. The one that movement and measure. That's really what you're looking at. That's why I'm talking about harmonizing. Like when you really look at the idea of South America, and if you look at how their spiritual system is set up, they look at the one for movement and measures. Hey, Edward Bailey, thank you for joining me. Edward, how you been? And so that's where you get the idea of Hanukkah. Because as I've said many times before, there's entities out there that try not to be counted. They move so slow to try not to be counted. Because they know that once Hanukkah comes in, it's moving. Energy is moving. And so there's entities out there that move so slow. Like I have a poster of the Chrysler building in my home. You have to go back to my old, well, I don't even know if my new show, I show that poster. But I bring that up because understanding entities and what an entity is you go to a place like New York City, which has some of the most expensive real estate. Like you take the Chrysler building, it was something like 100,000 men it took to build it I think in the 30s, the late 20s, early 30s. This building is like 80, 90 stories big. Do you know how many people died making that building? Less than 50. 100,000 men with no harnesses, and less than 50 died making that building. So what that tells you is those buildings are actually entities. It's just like driving. Just like I talk about the energy of driving. Hey, Derek, let's have that. Yes, definitely the Hero Twins. You ain't gonna see a lot of people dying driving. because the entity that feeds off of the driving can't have that. If every time you hear a motherfucker going drive and the motherfucker die, people ain't gonna drive. And that goes the same way making these buildings. You know, these entities turned around and said, okay, I'll take this to live on this real estate. And so that entity can't have people falling off the building. People ain't gonna want to work. So that's how you see in the 20s and 30s how these entities came back. And if you've ever been like the Empire State Building, the building is alive. These buildings are entities. And if you understand how they did the ley lines and why you see federal buildings on the downtown, why you see the local courts downtown, why you see sometimes the police office, the Masons, where the Masons are, they all are on downtown grid lines, the ley lines, because this pushes their power. And that's the way you look at any downtown. You're going to see a church, and then you're going to see these same buildings. The one thing, like I've said before, in our courthouse, our local courthouse for Scott County, ain't no marble up in there, because marble amplifies. But you go in the federal building, like right now, them three of the Chauvin deputy, or actually they was city or park police, they are in St. Paul in a federal building. And of course, that federal building, you go to St. Paul, you see the Capitol on a strong ley line, and then you look next to it. It's not the Basilica, but it's a Catholic church. I can't think of the name of that one. That's where the one brother supposedly had his funeral, even though he wasn't Catholic. So and so you have to look at the bewitched, you know, how things are bewitched, you know, like the TV show, and how things are truly the entities that people don't understand. Malls, you can look at malls as another type of entity. I said before, you know, years ago, I'm walking around the mall and I'm hearing, you know, that terrorist bullshit, you know. It's like this, fear, and it's coming from the mall. You know, it's the energy that's coming from there. Beware of being out here. And you can get that driving too. You can get that driving. Where you drive and you're hearing all these fears, especially if you get a little weather. Oh, 2 above 0. Cars finally starting to warm up. There's heated seats. You can't go without heated seats. Heated seats, the heated steering wheel, all that makes comfort. So if you look at just your own spiritual system, whichever you go with, you got to know it. You know, you can't believe. You know, believe and hope is false narratives. And that's 2 of the things they want to get together. It's interesting you say that, because the Masonic building in 2 cities that's east of where I am at, and both of them are downtown. Oh, of course. I mean, they've been doing this from the very beginning. Now, what they did to my family, they did to the Woodland Indians on the East Coast is they would, you know, the men would go hunting and they would come in and raid and kill everybody. And they would, as they took over these properties on the East Coast, what they would do is they would look at where they was worshiping. You see the same thing in Mexico City, where they put these big old Catholic churches over the old pyramids. Matter of fact, the oldest pyramid in the world looks like a mountain. I mean, it's playing. They were fully able to cover this pyramid up, and this is the biggest pyramid in the world in Mexico, and the oldest building, the oldest European building they built on top of this thing. And that's what they did as they came here. You know, they've been doing this kind of magic for a long time. And so that's why these government systems are there. It's not by happenstance. This is where they're at. I mean, you won't see a Masonic lodge not on a ley line. That's the way they build it. They're not going to put it there unless it's on a ley line where they can draw some of the energy from the local area. That's, you know, how these energy vampires work. So as you drive through, you just notice that kind of thing. This is old. You know, this is shit they've been doing since the 1800s. And that's kind of, you know, the extent that we up against. And that's what people don't really get is what are we really up against? You know, people have just a fraction of the idea. Like right now, you know, they doing wag the dog. You know, Joe Biden and them is hit so seriously. What do they know? What do Democrats do? Lyndon Johnson's ratings was going down. So what did they say in a JFK movie? I'll give you your damn Vietnam. Both are by police and fire stations. Yes, of course. And so right now we seeing a distraction. Taiwan is a distraction. Some shit in Russia that why do we give a damn? Why would anybody give a damn about Russia? I mean, Ukraine, you know, why would any American young man be sent over there? That shit's a wag the dog. It's a distraction. Same way with Taiwan. They supposed to make you think they hate these mugs, but they about to send, what was the numbers? 222? They said the 222 Americans to participate in China. Now remember, these are the same people that sent people over to the Nazis when Hitler had his Olympics. So nobody should be surprised by sending American, you know, they can say they not sending, but NBC bankrolls the Olympics. Remember that. NBC gave China billions. So they may not have commentators there, but you can believe NBC. There's pay-per-view for the Olympic shit. And so you can believe that NBC gonna be showing that shit. I got 3 or 4 NBC channels. You can believe that shit's gonna be on. And again, it goes back into they sent motherfuckers to the Nazis to be in the Olympics. Remember Jesse Owens and all that shit. Who do you think is scripted to win the NBA title? I would say probably another new team. Phoenix has never won it. Chris Paul, it seems like he's forever going to be shamed, stepping in that Charles Barkley role. So I would eliminate definitely Phoenix. We look at the Nets. The Nets ain't won it since Dr. J won it in the ABA. So the Nets have never won an NBA title. I think the only ABA team to win an NBA title was San Antonio. Yeah. Yeah, not Indianapolis. Yeah, you look at the teams that win it, the 4 teams. I think it was only 4 teams winning the merger. Denver, San Antonio, Indianapolis. Just one more. But San Antonio's been the only ABA team to win a title, and it's definitely not going to happen this year. I like to see the Timberwolves in there, but again, they're not going to. I would almost dare say, I don't know if they can take the hit. I don't know if they can take the hit again with the ratings. We're putting Milwaukee back in there because that NBA was some of the lowest rated games in the history of the NBA. I don't know if they want to do that again. Yeah, I'd be like Big Worm on Friday when he told Smokey, what the fuck that's got to do with me? Yeah, going back into it, it's a distraction. Taiwan and this other shit is wag the dog. You know, that's all it is. It's Democrats, the warmongers. This is all they know. I hope they have the Nets. I'll say this again. You know, you got to look at the merger, and they've never let that team win, and they tend to want to have a team that's won before. So keep that in mind as you make your picks. You got to look at what teams are in contention, like the Warriors. The Warriors won it first with Wilt. The Warriors won it again under dude who went to my college, Al Atlas. And so could the Warriors win again? Very possibly. They like teams that have won before. So right now, I would dare say probably the Nets. But can the Nets in Milwaukee, you know, can that sell? Can that sell? Already Thompson is taking games off. He missed a game. He's not playing tonight. He didn't play Sunday, saying he got some tendonitis in his knee. So, why this chick gonna get out? So I would probably go with the Warriors at this point. Looking at it, the games ain't decided on the court. No, absolutely, Jay. No, the games are not decided. The games are decided. As I said before, it's an little egghead dude sitting in a room, and he's constantly doing, now that betting is in play, he's constantly moving, constantly trying to get that betting on. Only reason San Antonio is the only AP win is because they pushed the foreign players in invasion. Yeah, I agree. That was. I mean, we got a CIA operative who coaches there. Popovich is CIA or military intelligence, and yeah, that was their agenda. Now the agenda, Dallas. You look at Dallas and doing the agenda. As I said before, you got these non-humans that want to be famous. Boban is on several commercials. He is a non-human, but yet we see where non-humans want to be famous. And you see Boban on all these commercials. Well, he's not a handsome thing. I mean, as just to look at, he's a weirdo to look at, and that's probably part of the marketing because he is a weirdo to look at, but that's a non-human. As I said before, non-humans want to be famous too. So keep that in mind, non-human. But that's a good point, Lorenzo. It is. Again, Dallas is serving that same purpose. So does Utah. And Utah has never won. Utah didn't win when they was in New Orleans. Pistol Pete kind of put that, because Pistol Pete was playing in New Orleans. It was a dude that went to Western Michigan named Paul Griffin that played with Pistol Pete when they first started in New Orleans, and then when they later moved to Utah. Of course, Ricky Green was one of the Michigan players that later, Dr. Dunkenstein, Daryl Griffin, he also played there. A cat that was only 6'1", 6'2", but had like a 40-inch vertical. So I count Utah out because they ain't never won it. And the NBA likes repeat. If you look at the circle of the teams that have won it, it's the same teams over and over again. They always want to push Boston in there, but I just don't see where this is going to be Boston's year. Oh, yeah, guess I'm okay. So I would say Warriors right now. I would say Warriors, but whoever's into the repeat cycle, that's who's. It's going to be a team that won before, and I just can't see them wanting to put Milwaukee in and then taking the ratings hit. And Milwaukee is the same thing, pushing Giannis. And I've said many times that if Giannis would have been an American player, he'd be stuck overseas. He would not have gotten the chance that these cats get. And it takes away American jobs, and nobody talks about that but me. It takes away brothers that stuck in the G League, stuck having to play over in Europe. I mean, the talent level, like you bring them cats over here to play in the high school ball with these high schoolers, they can't compete, even though they playing pro ball somewhere in Europe. These children come over here and play in the AAU and be getting mocked. They are not the same guys. These guys come in on hype. And I'll say this, the NBA and anybody that knows hoopers, this as what you see. Basketball is the one sport that if young people play with older people, they get better. I mean, I've watched this for 40 years. I would even damn near say since I was 10 or 11 myself. Probably close to 50 years. Like when I coached, Sundays we had open gym. Everybody could come in. My son was about 10 or 11, always wanted to play with me because I used to put it on. We'd have men come in there. But my point is to make my team better. So Sunday I had open gym so they could play against men. And basketball is that kind of game. And so when you practice every day against pros, you get better. And then you get the chance to play in these games, you will get better. Basketball is just that type of game. That the better competition you play, it'll bring your skills up. But my thing is there's attack. As a holder of the sacred ball game created by the Hero Twins, there's an attack on American players. I mean, NBA Africa. Africa was like one of the lowest leagues you could go to. It was like you went to Sweden, or if you went to Africa, it was like you borderline. You almost was better staying in America and playing in the semi-pro leagues here than going to Africa or going to Sweden. I got a partner who's got two sons playing for Iowa, got Kenyon Murray, the Murray twins. And Kenyon ended up playing in them low leagues. Like he went to Sweden And he ended up playing in the top league, but even their top league was one of the lower leagues. But yeah, check him out. Check out the Murray twins for Iowa. That's one of my guys' children. He was player of the year in Michigan, went to Iowa himself, Kenyon Murray. You can look him up. But his boys are good. His boys got big because Kenyon is about 6'4", 6'5". I think his boy's about 6'6". So, but I see what you're saying, Awood. I noticed that trend too. But that's, it's almost alarming. And it's not me to be racist or anything. It's just saying that these players are not needed. I mean, you go to any AA tournament, you go to whatever tournaments, and you see the boys playing. And so you're telling me that there's some boy that's playing in Czechoslovakia that is needed to replace this American player. Now, minor league players can make it into the majors, no doubt. As I was just saying, less talent plays against better talent. That less talent will get better. That's just the nature of the game, given opportunity. Given opportunity. You don't see all these players playing NFL, do you? And they used to have NFL Europe. I had several dudes I knew that played. Little John Flowers, I think, from Michigan State. That's another Woodland name, Little John. That is not a European name. And there's a lot of Little Johns that's in Michigan. And you can look up to see the Little Johns. My cousin's brother, same mother, but his last name is Little John. One dude's Little John Flowers. His last name is Flowers, but he's a Little John. So that's another name you could look up as a name that existed before the Europeans came over. So, and when I say this, I get no benefit from saying this, but I do look at how it hurts American dudes. Like you look at the G leagues, you look at the colleges, and they getting these people that's it makes like USC. Did anybody watch Arizona State last night in USC? And USC got all these 3 or 4 dudes from somewhere else. Why? It's like they just go get them from anywhere. I mean, it's really almost like that. They just go get these cats from anywhere. Because it was a blowout, some of these bench players got to play. And it was like 4 or 5 on USC's team. And then they was telling their backstories. And I'm like, these cats ain't needed. These cats ain't needed. Again, bring them young boys. You do not, when you see AAU tournaments, you do not see them dudes from Europe here. You see the best American young players that's like 17 and under. You don't need them cats from Europe. From following AAU all those years, MYA, what is it? MYAT, I think. I'm trying to think of the other league that was right under AAU. Anybody catch the woman made 61 points? That's the highest scoring, 61 points in the game for a woman. I guess the previous record was 60. I think the men's record is, what was his name? Freeman something. He scored 80 in a college game. But nobody ever do what Pistol Pete did. Shit, Pistol Pete averaged 44 a game. 30 games, 44 a game. No one will ever come close to that. And Pistol Pete didn't even have a 3-point shot. And Pistol Pete putting work on people. 44 points a game without a 3-point shot. If there would have been a 3-point shot, Pistol Pete would have probably averaged closer to 60 to 80 points a game. Not even Jabbar broke those records. And Jabbar was All-American, best player 3 years in a row, won a championship 3 years in a row. He ain't averaged 44 a game like Pistol Pete. So Pistol Pete was truly amazing player. Truly amazing player. And purposely put on bad teams. But yet, as I said before, we use his drills to this day. There was a chance where Pistol Pete and Dr. J was going to play together, and the courts blocked Dr. J from leaving the ABA. But he was going to play in Atlanta at one time with Pistol Pete. So when I talk about even, American European players, they systematically started blocking them players after the merger. If you looked at the NBA back around the merger, almost all the teams was melanated. But what didn't make sense is you look at the ABA teams and it's still a bunch of American Europeans playing. So what happened when we go into 76, 77, 77, 78 season? Why did all these European Americans quit playing? It wasn't a talent thing. They was systematically pushed out because they knew they wanted to bring European born players here, which was wrong, which was very wrong. But the history's right there. Look at the before the merger of the ABA teams. Look at before the merger and see what you see. You see a mixture of the talent. Wasn't all brothers. That happened after the merger when it was all brothers. Like they called them the New York Knickerbockers. But this was something that Stein and them did because they wanted to bring in European players, European-born Europeans instead of American Europeans, systematically pushed out. And all you got to do is get on Pinterest and look at the before the merger. Look at the teams in the ABA before the merger, and just look at the NBA. The teams were not just brother dominated. This was something that they pushed players out. Too bad that comic, when he made the movie about the ABA, he didn't get to that point, because that's a point that people miss. That these guys were systematically pushed out so they could start bringing, Marshall Otis, I think, was the first player they brought over. As I said before, when they did the Euro step, they called traveling on this cat. Marshall Otis, I believe, was his name. He played with the Warriors, maybe Portland. But yeah, when he was playing, he'd be by himself and he would do a Euro step, and they called traveling. I remember watching the games, and they took that out of the game. They took that out of the game. Again, the Euro step is what, the last 10 years maybe. So this dude, they brought him over in the early 80s. He was probably my age. He was a little older than me. This cat was a little older than me when they brought him over. But I think his name was Marshall Otis. And then the dude who they sacrificed that played with Portland and played with the Nets, the one that they used to say stinked. That dude got killed in a car crash. And I've said it before with Tony Kukoc even. When they was bringing them cats over, these dudes was like, they smelled so sour because these dudes, they just don't take showers like they do in America. These dudes was smelling sour. Tony Kukoc was like that as well. But motherfuckers didn't even like sitting next to them because they smelled so sour. I looked up, says Frank Sleevey of Furman. He did 54 against Newberry. He dropped 100 on them. Frank Sleevey. Yeah, Frank, they did a 30 for 30 on Frank. Frank played with the Globetrotters for a minute. But Frank, let me see. Yeah, Frank Furman. Oh, he did in February against Newberry College. He dropped 100 on them. Maybe it's not the guy I'm thinking of. It's another dude. I'll say this. It was another dude that averaged almost 100 a game. Let me try to remember this cat. This was a European cat, European American. This dude averaged like 89 a game, but he didn't play. He went to, let me see, how can I explain this? Their school was like Division III, but even less than that. And so I can't think of this cat's name because he played with the Globetrotters for a while. He played with the Washington Generals. But I think this dude averaged like 90. But when they looked at his games, a lot of his games wouldn't register as far as NCAA. But yeah, there's this cat. This cat was consistently dropping 100 and some. But I don't think it's the name you put up there, Lorenzo. But Freeman McNeil, that was his name. Freeman McNeil scored 80 something. You look up Freeman McNeil. I want to say Freeman McNeil went to Portland State because he was around my age, and I think he dropped 81 in a college game. So that's good. You said 1954. That's cool. I wish I could think of this other dude's name because this dude had like 20 some games of 100 points in the games. But again, it was almost like semi-pro. It was like he would dabble between Division III and semi-pro teams when they looked up his career. But ESPN did a thing of him years ago, and this dude averaged about 90, but all his games wasn't sanctioned. All his games wasn't under NCAA. Now the line is moving. Maybe we're picking up. I don't see the children. I'm about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 cars back. But yeah. Hey, Mr. Lamborghini. Maybe I'll do a late night stream tonight. I'll see how I'm feeling tonight. I might do a stream later tonight. Not really a busy day today. Kind of just chilling. Yeah, it seems like we're moving. Maybe not, because it is 3 o'clock. Children's supposed to come. And then we got basketball practice. That's why I say that okay, yeah, I'll do a late one tonight. Maybe. Maybe I'll do another late one tonight. See, I'm motivated. I've been working with the pendulums a little bit, and got some new cards in. So, always trying to make the science a little stronger, spirituality a little stronger. There's the girls, Hazel and Ethel. Here they come.
Hi.
Hey. Well, this Responsible Daddy Hour till we meet again.